Well, Jester is here with a positive review, and I am so excited to be able to do this because it's been a while since I saw a legitimately good comic book related thing. But is this really a comic book related show? Because it's called The Penguin, it's based in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, but it really doesn't have much to do with Batman. But we'll talk about that in a minute. To get it out of the way, is The Penguin a good show? It absolutely is. I'm absolutely happy to report that even with all my skepticism, I think I've just become so black-pilled against so many things like the DC stuff and just disappointed about James Gunn stuff infringing on the Batman universe that I had my doubts going into this. I wasn't really thrilled with the trailer, but I am very happy to be proven wrong. And The Penguin is a very well-produced, very high-class show, and it's interesting to review it right now, right after I got done reviewing Agatha, because even though these are like two completely different shows, there are similarities. Number one, they're both shows starring unlikable characters. But while I criticized Agatha for having unlikable characters, I would praise The Penguin for how it handles its unlikable characters. And what's the difference? The difference is one is well written and the other is not. The problem with Agatha is its characters were one-dimensional and unlikable, and they didn't get a lot of development. Agatha is just an awful person who wants more power, and it's like, why would we want to root for this character if that's all there is to her? But Oz Cobb, and we'll talk about that in a minute because they changed his name. The Penguin is also a character who wants more power for himself, and he's really an awful, evil person. But the difference is that they actually develop his character, why he thinks the way he does, why he wants the things that he wants, the nuances of his character, and the different aspects to him. That is the real difference. Agatha Harkness is a one-dimensional evil character, as we saw in the first two episodes at least of Agatha all along. While Penguin, or Oz, he is a multi-layered villainous character. And that is what the Penguin show does so well, is once again, and I won't make this the entire Agatha comparison show, but it is interesting to note the differences, is that while Agatha failed to develop its characters, what the Penguin does so well is in the character development and in the three major characters of the show. Every scene in the show is there to develop its story and tell you something about the characters and what world they're in. So Oz Cobb, he's supposed to be Oswald Cobblepot, but they changed his name. He is basically this underling in the Gotham underworld. He basically is just the guy, as he says in a scene, he's the guy that makes himself look small so that the other guys feel bigger about themselves. They feel better about themselves. And he has done that for years, and he is a character that you can tell has deep-rooted insecurity, and he is tired of being kicked down and just made into the underling all the time. And he has a big ego, and that's what kicks off the story. And I won't give any major spoilers in this, just the general premise is that Alberto Falcone, I'm going to call it Falcone because that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, even though they call them the Falcones here. He is the young son of Carmine Falcone, who is set to take over the Empire. And he talks to Penguin in the beginning, and he insults the Penguin, and he makes him feel really small. And so the Penguin, in a fit of anger, shoots him, and that's what kicks off the story, because now, oh no, the Penguin has shot who was supposed to be the big mob boss, the new leader of this giant mob, and had a lot of people working for him and a lot of people who are going to be looking for him. So now Oz has to cover up what he did, and he has to make plans for what he's going to do in the future, because he wants to take over, but he's going to have a lot of people who are now after him because of what he's done. And on the way, he meets a teenager named Vic who tries to steal his car, and he basically forces this guy, but later recruits him and sort of creates a mentor relationship with him in order to help him take over the city. And that relationship, once again, develops the character more, because Penguin seems to see a part of himself in this teenager, even though they initially have this really antagonistic relationship where this kid tried to steal his car, and then he's forcing the kid to help him hide the body. And in the car, there's a lot of development there where Oz is threatening this kid. This kid is so scared. It's so well acted in this show that this kid is just stuttering and he can't even speak because he's so scared. But Oz is just kind of taking him under his wing, literally, and trying to get him to want more for himself and all of that. So why does this show work? Once again, because it has many unlikable characters, and it's even darker than Agatha, but they're all multi-dimensional characters, and they're humanized in a sense where even if you don't agree with these awful people, you at least understand where they're coming from. Like, Penguin gets scenes with his own mother, and she tells him that he needs to be a big man who takes over everything. And basically, you just get the sense of these characters who have been beaten down their entire lives, and they see taking over this empire as a way of finally taking something for themselves and not being the beat down guys anymore. But I think that the best part of this entire show was the villain, Sophia Falcone. She is a villain from the comics, from the Long Halloween saga, and she is played from like an Emmy level performance from Kristen Milioti. I was just in awe about how well she played this character who's been in and out of Arkham, and she's clearly off her rocker. She's clearly insane, but she's also highly intelligent and highly dangerous, and you just feel her presence, the threatening presence of this character, and how Oz feels threatened by her. But you never know what she's going to do because you know she's also a bit mentally unhinged. She gave the best performance in a show filled with great performances, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if she at the very least gets an Emmy nomination for this. This was like one of the best performances I've seen in a Batman thing. She was so amazing. And the show has a great pace as well. We get to a lot of places in the first episode. We develop a lot of the characters, and the first episode tells a complete story. And that's once again in contrast to what we've been getting from Disney Plus, where I feel a lot of times that the episodes don't get anywhere. But no, there's a complete arc in the first episode, and I really felt like it kicked the show off well. So it's just a very incredibly well-written show. They really took a care in developing their characters and the performances and the world and the pacing and everything about it, the production value, how Gotham is lit just like it was in Matt Reeves' universe, but when they leave Gotham, you get sort of like the brightness of the outside world, which is very true to like how Batman the Animated Series would do it. But that gets to, basically, I only have two flaws. And the first flaw is at one point in the show, Oz gets captured, and then the next scene, he's out. And it made me wonder, well, but how did he escape? It's like there's a little scene missing there, and I guess we're just supposed to accept it. And so that was a little bit confusing to me. The other flaw isn't really a flaw, because this show is objectively maybe an 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 show, but this is a personal problem for me. It's called The Penguin. It's set in the Batman universe, but it doesn't feel like a Batman show at all. It uses these characters like Alberto Falcone and Sophia Falcone, who are from the comics, but they never even mention Batman by name other than saying him. There's not really any comic booky elements in it whatsoever, and the people behind the scenes said that was intentional. It's pretty much just The Sopranos with characters who happen to be named after the non-fantastical, non-supervillain Batman characters, with the exception of the Penguin. But it's not really a Batman show or a comic book show at all. It's like, it's just The Sopranos with some characters named after them. And that's a frustration that I want to voice in another video, is that I feel that with the Matt Reeves universe, we're continuing on a trend that's been going on for decades, started by Christopher Nolan, which I love the Nolan Batman films, but it just feels like they're afraid of embracing the source material, the comic book source material, and that they just want to use Batman as an excuse to make more crime dramas, more grounded crime dramas attached to an IP, because so many things need to be attached to an IP these days. And it's very well written and very well made, and you can tell everyone who worked on it cared about it, but at the same time, it feels more like a crime drama with an IP attached to it rather than a legitimate Batman show, and that is very frustrating to me. So that is like the most negative thing I can say about it, though, and I have another video expanding on that train of thought further, but I am very pleased to announce that despite my skepticism, Penguin really turned out. I would highly recommend anybody who likes crime dramas, or basically likes the Matt Reeves Batman movie. If you like that style, you'll like this. However, if you don't want to wallow in a show of unlikable characters, even if it's well written, because this is a very dark, violent show, then this show will not be for you. And also, I think if you're looking for something that is straight up Batman and comic booky, then this show will also not be for you. But that doesn't mean that it isn't a great show on its own right, and I think that it might be up for Emmys in the future with how good the performances are. But that's all I got for you guys today. Did you watch The Penguin? Are you willing to give it a chance? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, patrons, as always, and special shout out to Matthew Thomas for becoming my 15th patron, joining in at the $20 tier. And once again, check out the link in the description if you want to support my work on Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.